Harry, in a world where we have a lot of meddling and interference from governments and regulators, what does Bitcoin mining teach us about markets?
I mean, Bitcoin mining is just the ultimate teacher, right? You know, Troy talks about what kind of person does this for a living, and I suppose that I'm one of them. And I'm not sure exactly what that means, other than, you know, if we just take a step back to like why do we mine, and what's the thought process there? You know, it really kind of dials back to like a little glass room in 2018 and 2019 when we thought about the business, and we said, you know, all right, we're going to be structurally long Bitcoin and Bitcoin usage, and structurally short power markets and hash rate. And that sounds like a terrifying bet to take on the face of it, but the good news is that by taking a bet like that, you're compressing an enormous amount of normal business risk into this one very specific perspective. And so, you know, what has emerged is, you know, that mining, you know, Bitcoin is a black hole, and that's a conversation from a different day. But, you know, Bitcoin is it's just like this hyper kind of center of mass that drags sort of economic utility into it, and spits it out on the other side in its most efficient form. And I see, you know, mining as a total microcosm of that same dynamic, where, you know, Bitcoin mining is a buzzsaw that's getting taken to a dead oak forest that hasn't been touched in 200 years. And so, you know,
maybe the environmentalists don't.
It's dead oak.
Okay.
Live oak, we leave and grow and sequester carbon from the atmosphere. Or better yet, we plant new forests. But you know, really, what's so exciting about getting to kind of run this buzzsaw into untouched markets is, like, it's a dumb example, but I think it's really material. But, you know, if you go to everybody who's here who came on an airplane, you charged your phone at the airport probably at some point. The cost to install those outlets is like $600 per unit, and let's just use one unit for the sake of the argument. To install one of the same units at a Bitcoin mine costs between $100 and $150. And so we've seen between a 75 and an 80% cost savings on delivering electricity to an outlet. Why? Because Bitcoin miners care a lot about making their builds cheaper. And no other industry thought to shave that $450 out of it, because it's not a big line item. It's not worth a lot of attention. There's no driving urgent market force asking those businesses to cut that cost. But, you know, then when you look at our business, we've got to install that like 32,000 times. And so 32,000 times 450 is a lot of money. And it's probably the difference between one miner being able to operate through the halving versus another. And so every time I see a 1, 2, 3, 5% incremental opportunity, I want to go kill it, right? Like I want to go take you know, deep and urgent violence to the opportunity set. And every miner thinks that way. And so these are the people who are reading through power agreements. These are the people who are looking at generation assets. These are the people who are looking to convert waste into use. And so you take an army of these businesses operating all across the world, and all of a sudden there's a lot of efficiency gains that get delivered. And so while I've solved the problem with the $450 savings at the outlet, that's actually a benefit that's now going to get propagated across an entire economy. And so this is how innovation delivering value works, is one business is presented an urgent need, and then every business gets to eat that benefit over some, you know, dispersion field of time. And so, like, this is why, you know, everything's good for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a black hole. It's going to suck in all of these sort of positive sum economies of scale over time, and you know, we're gonna make it.
I think it's about 1.6 million. Or was it 16 million you saved with that?
It's a lot. A lot of outlets. Which, I'll tell you one more anecdote from early grid. So our CEO and founder, Trey Kelly, and I, we're not electrical engineers or electricians. And so we, like, conceptually knew what we were going to build when we were going to build a Bitcoin mine. but like our view of that was like, we kind of need 3,000 outlets and we're going to plug them in. And we had no idea what happens like behind the 3,000 outlets. And so we had to go through this very rapid and urgent education process. And thankfully we hired some incredible people along the way. But like, that was 4.5 years ago. And so like the learning curve is just like unbelievably steep for all of this stuff. And we're all starting basically at zero in our own different way. And so like if you're interested in any of this or interested in something else in Bitcoin, like just start, right? Nobody knew anything before they started.
I still don't know anything.
We know.
Okay. So one of the things I found most interesting over the last certainly couple of years is that we've had these new cohorts of people coming into Bitcoin. It's just not crazy psychos anymore. We've got very smart group of philosophers who've joined us in the world of Bitcoin.
Also crazy psychos.
Yeah, but in a different way, like gentle psychos. And
they're the dangerous kind.
Yeah. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Troy and his mafia of philosophers. But as a philosopher, how do you think about mining? Does it present like a new weird ways of thinking about the world?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin does, and mining is inextricably connected with it. I mean, of course, it's pushed me to thinking about the relation generally between energy and money. I think money always finds its way into energy at some stage or another. Mining is just a particularly direct path for it. But I wanted to riff on something that Harry said, and also answer your question, in the sense that I think like the philosopher level view, which is not only do you not understand what happens behind the plugs, but like you don't even think about the number of plugs or anything, The philosopher level view is it's a brutal competition, ruthless competition for a fixed reward, and 70% of the cost is power. And so humanity is witnessing a search for cheap power like it never has before. And it doesn't matter where it is in the world because there's internet everywhere now. So it's the first industry that is totally location agnostic and scalable and that is entirely sensitive to the price of energy. And so what does that do? Well, to follow Harry's example, I mean, it improves energy in the same way that it improves power supply units. We're going to figure out how to get energy out of the niches of the natural world in new ways that are motivated and cheaply, that are motivated by that block reward. And the competition means that all the fights that we have, Justin, talking to you, all the fights that we have about power and what's the best form of it for humanity, how do we produce it best, which of these pie in the sky ideas about our energy future as a species is really going to work? Mining is like the acid bath for any of those ideas. It's because you got to compete with these other miners. And if you make promises in your pitch deck about your new energy idea, about how many cents per kilowatt hour this is going to provide and how much uptime you're going to give, that doesn't matter. What matters is whether miners can actually profit on it. And they're in a zero-sum game against every other miner. So it's like a global scale, perfect competition that incentivizes what humanity needs, which is cheap, abundant energy to power its future, right? So I mean, taking a big step back, like energy is I think our energy system is probably the largest issue facing humanity generally, right? We're increasing our demand for energy. We've got large parts of the world that are using little energy now, but are going to use energy. How do we do that in a just way? How do we do that in a sustainable way? And how do we get people power who don't have it and improve their lives? You can't find a bigger problem than that to solve or to think about.
Why does energy density per capita matter?
Well, it's just hard to do the things we want without it.
The tool of human flourishing. It's being able to go to the hospital. It's being able to feed yourself and your family. It's being able to travel. It's like correlated to every biomarker of a successful civilization. Infant mortality, education rates, literacy rate. Like pick any societal biomarker. and energy density per capita correlates like 1-to-1 with improvement. And we deserve it. We dug ourselves out of the caves for this, right? There's 50 million years of ancestors counting on us. It's urgent.
Yeah, and at the same time, our energy landscape is constantly changing. Like, we cleared forests, we use the easy deposits, the cheap and easy kind of hydrocarbon deposits, right? They're gone. It's getting more and more energy intensive to get energy out. So to keep up our improvement in human flourishing, we need innovation on getting more out of less and getting energy out of new sources that we haven't already done. And everybody has their own idea about how to do that. And of course, we have government subsidizing it. We have a lot of partisanship in that. But I think what's beautiful about Bitcoin is mining is it just doesn't care about your feelings. You know what I mean? It's about the bottom line. In the end, it's like, that's very nice if you're doing that. But sorry, it costs you more than a Bitcoin to mine a Bitcoin. You're done.